Actually, Amsterdam started in 2015 to think about the possibilities to implement a circular economy in the city, and the Netherlands started also to think about this topic approximately around the same time. In 2016, the Dutch government published a policy document where we all agreed to become 100% circular in 2050. So this was really the starting point for many cities and municipalities in the Netherlands to start working on this topic. For the Amsterdam, we approached it in 4 steps. The first step is actually using facts and data to see where the possibilities in your city are to focus on the circular economy. So we conducted that, for example, the construction chain and the food chain were the main sectors for Amsterdam. And as a second step, we tried to stimulate experiments and learn by doing. And this is a very important part because you're at the beginning of a transition where you really need to find your front runners who want to pull this idea and this system to a next level. And as a third step, it's very important to start measure your effects and your impact. And this is something that we are thinking about on the national level, but you see that all the cities, all of the companies are thinking about it themselves as well. And you should measure your effects on not only what kind of impact do we have in the circular economy, so how circular are we right now, but you should especially measure the next decade, the transition. So it's not interesting to know that you're not 6% circular but 8% circular, but it's more interesting that you are growing in this transition by 50%. So this is a very important topic that I want to address and advise everyone to think this way. That's a very interesting question because I can answer it from my wishful thinking or what I think that is happening. And the fact is that I think it's more realistic to expect that we will measure it on the carbon footprint. But for me, from a circular perspective, it will be logical to combine more instruments to measure your impact on circularity, because sustainability and circularity can not only be defined by the carbon footprint. But to change this, I think we need many steps to reach that. And for the beginning, I think measuring on carbon footprint and designing incentives, tax incentives, etc., that stimulate this, to stimulate companies to think differently, is a good step in the right direction. But we're definitely not then measuring circularity or sustainability, in my opinion. What I don't like is when we are measuring our carbon footprint and then want to compensate this with certificates, because this way we are only moving the problem to someone else. And for me, this should change. I would like to support that this solution will not be implemented this much as is happening right now. For example, airport aviation companies that are compensating your CO2 with trees, etc. Or that's maybe a good step, but they're even buying certificates from a sustainable project somewhere else to compensate it, and I don't support that actually. What I like about both of the approaches is that we have chosen so we have these measurements in the Amsterdam metropolitan area in 2 provinces of the Netherlands, and also comparing it here to the measurements in Gavà, is that we all chose for the approach of lean and mean. So focusing on the information and data that you already have and making the measurements, so pragmatic as possible, to make it tangible as possible. And from there, we actually looking at these results and searching for a strategy, like which kind of information do we don't have and what kind of steps do we need to design for the next years to make this framework more complete. So it's like a growth model, and this is exactly the same system you have in Gavà and we have in the Netherlands as well. What my recommendation would be is not only to focus on resources, but really approach circularity from a systemic level. So this means not only having the information about resources in your dashboard, but also comparing this to the ecological indicators and economical indicators, and having this all together in one dashboard makes it for me a circular framework.